Oh, Lauren, Lauren, queen of the screen. With Botox so tight, you look like a dream. But your skin's so thin, it's like tissue paper. One wrong word and poof, you're a vapor. Hey, Lauren, Lauren, toes all sore and red. From folks stepping on them, now you're crying in bed. People are mean, you wail through the night, but you swing at victims' kin. What a sight! From YouTube throne, Queen Lauren so grand. Now cast to the peasants with pitchforks in hand. You dish out the drama, true crime with flair, but cross your highness, oh beware. Family members grieving, you pounce like a cat, claws out and hissing, imagine that. Botox can't hide that frown upside down. Your kingdom's crumbling, you're losing your crown. Hey, Lauren, Lauren, toes all sore and red. From folks stepping on them, now you're crying in bed. People are mean, you wail through the night, but you swing at victims' skin. What a sight! From YouTube throne, Queen Lauren so grand. Now cast to the peasants with pitchforks in hand. Once upon a vid, you ruled the true crime wave. Subs in the millions, oh what a rave. But thin skin and sore toes led to your fall. Now you're scrolling comments, ignored by all. Peasant life calls with no royal decree, just Botox bills and reality TV. Hey, Lauren, Lauren, pack up your crown. The kingdom's evicting, you're heading downtown. Toes still aching, tears on your sheets. But hey, next adventure, true crime on the street. From queen to the fields with the mud and the muck. Lauren, oh Lauren, next time, better luck. Apologize, Lauren, to victims of our...
Trisha the grifter strutting down round Bev B's yard. Brown loafer heels clicking like she owning it all. She found a lonely old woman. Trisha got a sparkle in her eye. Sweet tea and sympathy, then wave that phone goodbye.
She coos, oh honey, let me help you text your friends.
Next thing you know, that iPhone sliding in her purse and that phone is gone again.
Inheritance check.
Signed, sealed, delivered with a kiss. Trisha's laughing and dreaming about all the way to the bank. Trisha's got that sparkle in her smile, that devil in her stride.
Stealing purses, phones, and bank accounts.
Bonita Stacy's Clyde.
Trisha the grifter, queen of the con.
Grifting lonely ladies from dusk till dawn.
Phones and fortune, she takes them with glee. Funding her fabulous, ridiculous spree. Gold brooch pin right there on her chest.
Flashing brighter than the lie she tells best.
Trisha the grifter.
Ooh, what a thief living large on somebody else's money.
New fur coat dripping diamonds on her wrist. Attacking John Ramsey, he is at the top of her list. John Bonet, who she tweets with a sneer while sipping champagne that cost a whole year. She's got a brand new wardrobe, looking oh so fine, but did she steal those fancy threads from Beth B's closet line?
Closet raid at midnight,
Hangers flying high,
she in best dress,
waving that brooch to the sky. She's got that sparkle in her smile,
that devil in her stride.
Stealing closets, cash and clout. Watch her take the ride. Trisha the grifter, queen of the con.
Grifting lonely ladies from dusk till dawn.
Phones and fortune, she takes them with glee.
Funding her fabulous, ridiculous spree.
Gold brooch pin right there on her chest.
Flashing brighter than the lies she tells best.
Trisha the grifter.
Ooh, what a thief living large on somebody else's greed.
Oh, Trisha, what's a girl to do?
When the well runs dry and the marks are few,
She just bats those lashes, spins another tale. Bless your heart, my darling.
then she's gone without fail. Trisha the grifter, swinging through the night.
All right, so that is a lot of music.
From
We
lonely
did like 4 or 5 minutes of music, people. Let's go ahead and get started. How are you? I hope you are doing very, very well. I myself, if I was doing any better, well, it'd probably be illegal. So I am awesome. They're bad this year. How grass is kicking in too. Plus, I'm deep cleaning. Look, when you start deep cleaning, especially like cleaning out closets, the dust bunnies are going to come alive. And then they're going to get your allergies right where it hurts. All right. Skitty Nona, my friend, good to see you. You like the music? Oh, I'm so glad you like it. I've had a few people fuss at me and say, how dare you use AI? It's not real music. I don't know. It feels real to me. I like it. So, yeah, I heard that BMD, that Trisha dropped her suit to gain control of the estate. Look, I haven't seen proof yet. They were claiming this way back, okay? Like I don't know, a couple of months ago, they were saying that she dropped it. And then in May, May, I don't remember the exact date, but I can find it. There were new papers dropped in Dallas. So I'm telling you, I don't think she's dropped it. If you have the documents, come on, girl, bring it on. I'm ready for it. Yes, very nice. Okay. Hybrid Pisces, how's that Oculus? Are y'all still playing and enjoying it? I love my Oculus. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it, Requiem. Good, good, good. Let's see. Let's see. Christina's a rock star. Look, I am thrilled. I'm telling you, thrilled that so many people have just like opened their arms up and welcomed Christina in. I just cannot imagine how horrible her experience was. Put yourself in her shoes, okay? Put yourself in her shoes, that you have people, multiple creators coming for you, and their sum total of all their subscribers is over 1 million subscribers. Now, granted, there's going to be some overlap, some shared subs in that group. I accept that. But that doesn't matter when it's you and you've got these so unethical, these people that you know to be prevaricators. And they're coming for you, and they've gathered together, a New York City detective. Good Lord. You've got somebody like Trisha Griffith, who, her website is famous. She is not. Her behavior has been atrocious for at least a decade. Okay. But nevertheless, stop to think about being that one person. She owns her own business. She's a great mom. She has a beautiful life. She follows the rules, right? We all try to follow the rules. And and you've got these very powerful channels targeting you. And who are you? Like, you got a handful of people really that know you. Now, her business, social media does very well. She's an incredibly talented artist. But I want you to put yourself in her shoes when that happened, that here she was just trying to, met Lauren, started becoming friends. Now, this is a woman who makes her living through artwork. She performed art services for Lauren, didn't charge her. She's being friends. She's just being a normal person. She's doing what me and you would do for our friends, right? And then you have this odd, crazy, weird thing where she turns on you. She turns on you. We've seen the police body cam involved police officers and her psychologist husband, might I add, who tries to invent charges against her. Open your mind to that. And at the same time that Wowin and Grayson are they're being so unscrupulous, trying to bring real hurt, like notable trouble to her life. For what? Nothing. Because Lauren got her feelings hurt. No other reason. Lauren's defense was, it's not legal to share private discussions. Never did they come out and say, I didn't say that. Not once did they come out and say, I didn't mean that. Everything that the Hidden Gems needs to know is in that 9-hour live, and then the 4-hour live by the professional psychologist. Bullshit. Right? No, what Lauren did with her 330,000 subscribers, and then went over to Duty Ron and got Trisha. What she did was the absolute definition of bullying. To attack a person with their public regard, that you've got a million people out there that just love you because you're wowing. And you are thinking, how will I ever respond to this? Who is going to even hear me? Like, who would even listen to me try to explain my part? No. Lauren, Trisha, Duty Ron, it was the penultimate bullying scenario. And I in full disclosure here, I like Duty Ron. He in early on, many years ago, when he first came to YouTube and whatnot, his channel had built up by this time. I did have somebody who was being very creepy and strange and obsessed with me. And this person found herself in his channel and began doing, in quite an attenuated way, but began doing similar type things, trying to gather support to go on a "We Hate Jewels of Thought," campaign. And he did the right thing. And that was, I don't know what you're talking about. You can say all day long that Jules did these things. I haven't seen any evidence of that. And then moved on. So he did in that situation, and I was grateful. Like I was we spoke a couple of times through email, and I thanked him, and we worked it all out and everything in the end. But the response to what Christina went through, I think he just was not fully informed. I think if he was fully informed, I think that his response to Lauren might have been, no, thank you. I don't want to make a public statement on this, right? Which is what a person with scruples would do. If you don't have any kind of like evidence, then why would you even take a position? So I did want to start this particular video off, and I am going to be talking about a statement that Christina has made on her channel. And so we're going to do that, but I want to make a statement on what CrimeCon has done. Now, I first heard about this with Queen Bee, and look, Queen Bee is like my late night guilty pleasure, right? She just makes me laugh. I don't always agree with her on opinions and things, but she's a funny lady. So if Jolene's not on, I've already watched Everyday OJ. I've watched Dreadful Penny. I've kind of gone through all my channels that I normally watch. Then I listen to Queen Bee, and that's kind of how I keep up with all the Brittany J gossip and whatnot. But anyway, on Queen Bee's several nights ago, maybe 5 or 6 nights ago, she said that she had heard that Wawin apologized to Christina and bought her CrimeCon ticket for this year. And I was like, wow, well, that is very nice if it's true, right? If it's true. So I waited. I wanted to wait and see, is this true? So I kind of waited to find out the whole story. My initial knee-jerk reaction was to make a video and come out and apologize to Wowin about my scathing negative opinions of her, and thank her for being a human being and making an apology and following the apology up with an act of goodwill. That is a very good apology. Like sometimes we psychologists, play therapists, we teach children or we teach teenagers or young people exactly what is an apology and how do you do it well. You don't go up to somebody and say, well, I'm sorry I did this to you, but blah, blah, blah. That's not an apology. That's an excuse, right? So we teach people. And one of the most effective apologies is say you're sorry, hopefully make a promise that you're not ever going to do that thing again, and then follow up your apology with an act of goodwill. And so it did seem like that, maybe John Matthias, maybe his education kicked in and he decided to actually put his professional knowledge into action and do the right thing, to make an apology to Christina and to follow up with an act of goodwill, which was expensive tickets to CrimeCon, right? But still, I kept thinking, oh, no. Yeah, look, people, that scenario, the apology with the act of goodwill, that does not align with what we know about Wawin. It doesn't. Never before have I seen her do anything that would suggest that she would have the backbone or the integrity to respond in that manner. I think it would be too painful for her because she would feel like she was admitting defeat. She would feel like she was lowering herself in social stature to someone else. And that is not what our girl Lauren does, is it? She elevates herself above all others, even a cute dog. So I waited and I got my answer. Actually, I know that there is gossip that it was Lauren that apologized and bought the ticket to CrimeCon. It was not. You know who it was? Who knows who it was? Hey, Jenny, good to see you. Criminal sociology, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, Christina, sweetheart. And her art is top notch. Yeah, it doesn't compute getting Nona for sure. No, actually, CrimeCon themselves reached out to her. How's that for integrity? They reached out, they made an apology, and they gave her tickets to this year's CrimeCon. So, CrimeCon, I have previously not been so gracious, and I am going to change that today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for doing the right thing. I think it's absolutely amazing. And I think that the people of CrimeCon, I think that they too were misled by Wowin and silly John Matthias. They were misled. They were misled. Just like Lauren tried to do to the judge, right? MN, I'm with you, sister. It did take a long time. However, hey, Steph, good to see you. Man, I was so glad to see it. You know, I just, they didn't have to do that. They didn't. No, nobody was even thinking about it. They did. They responded exactly in the right way. So I'm not going to get nitpicky and question timing. I'm just not going to do all that. I'm going to be relieved that we finally see an act of integrity. I'm thrilled. And look, criminal sociology, I can see Duty Ron being duped. Especially given the set of circumstances, he has been ill, which is why I'm so careful about how much I kind of talk or go at him. And the fact that he has been very polite and honest with me. And I've really appreciated that. But I can see where if you're in that situation, you're not feeling well, right? And then somebody that you know to be a friend, somebody that you have collaborated with in the past, they come up with this huge story. They've involved the court system. They've involved police officers. The lady is married to a licensed psychologist. And, you know, most of the time people give you instant credibility if you're a licensed professional or a medical professional. They do give instant credibility. They shouldn't. You should wait until people prove who they are. But we are licensed. We are held to account to the state laws where we live, where we're licensed at. And it, along with our licensing that covers like professional knowledge and behavior, we have an ethics code. And the ethics code, says behave yourself. Behave in a way that you don't shed negative light on the profession as a whole. And I personally think John Matthias has not reflected well on my profession. So, and I have called him out on that, even with CIVIC code violations, so I've done that. But getting back to CrimeCon, standing up, having integrity, doing the right thing, I am so very glad that they did that. And I'm really happy for Christina that she has that sense of support. I think that is incredibly important considering the trauma that she's been through. Now I'm about to play a little short from her channel, but here's that. What happened? An error occurred on YouTube. Why? I thought that I was going to give you the link. Okay, well, the link, it was already posted at the beginning. Let's see where I put it. Is it blocking my links? No, here it is. All right, so here's the link. Mods, if you can copy and paste that link occasionally into, into the chat so that people can find her channel and go and listen to anything that she may have uploaded, right? Because she doesn't have a big following. That's what I'm saying. Lauren was conniving. She was she was manipulative. She acted without integrity. She acted with no empathy. What she did to Christina was downright cruel. It was, if it had been, I'm going to tell you something straight up. If that had happened to me when I'm walking around with a few hundred subscribers, I would have been literally traumatized. Literally. So, and there, I'm not going to get into Christina's personal stuff. That's all 100% hers to do with what she pleases. But she made a video that Everyday with Jay uploaded yesterday or the day before, and I hope you guys will go and listen to it. But I think this whole situation with Lauren and the public exposure, what Lauren did with the courts, and then the 9-hour live, and then the 4-hour live by the licensed psychologist, calling you subhuman. What? No, I would not be surprised one bit if there is trauma there. And it just was so wrong on so many levels. I mean, there's no doubt Lauren proved she could not and should not be trusted with any manner of influence. That is, look, everybody has things that they get wronged, they get mistreated, maybe even they get targeted. But should the response be total annihilation? That's what's going on with the whole Israel Gaza Strip thing now. Yeah, October 7th was a nightmare. It was horror. It was absolutely should never have happened. But do you commit genocide? And everybody's got their own opinion. This isn't a political channel. But it does kind of give you pause and go, wait a minute now, maybe Lauren did feel that somebody was acting out of line. I do think that she chose Christina to target publicly. Maybe because she knew Christina's personality a little better, and maybe she thought she would be most effective going against Christine. I don't know what she was thinking, but it wasn't just one person. There were a lot of friends, co-workers or ex-workers. And this was just a mass behavior that happened over time. And Lauren got caught. She behaved in a very bad way. And then when it all began to come out, she got scared. And I don't know why she chose Christina. There were other people. It wasn't just Christina. In fact, listen how weird this is. Lauren is accusing Christina of doing this underhanded manipulative thing, right? Christina wasn't even in the country. She was in Europe, I think. How crazy is that? So why did everything, all of Lauren and John's choices on how to respond, it just showed complete lack of empathy, hysteria, manipulation, even manipulation of friends, like targeting Duty Ron, targeting Trisha, involving them in something that had nothing to do with them at all. They didn't even know Christina or any of the other women that were involved. Duty Ron didn't even know anything about them. I'm sorry, I have an itchy nose. So I don't know why she chose the person that she did, but it sure did teach us a lot about Lauren. And if you're a hidden gem, have you given much thought to the reality of what John and Lauren did? All right. So today is going to be sort of like learning kind of thing. And I don't like my YouTube channel to be associated like with my profession, like what I do in real life. But I thought that Christina asked a good question. Okay. And it's a question that many of us face from time to time. And that is, why do people lie? Right? Now, mythomania, it's a word that I personally love. I think mythomania is a really fun and cool sounding word that all it means is just pathological lying. Okay. Pathological meaning it falls outside of what is normal. So look, the other question that you're going to hear in this short clip is this whole like victim mentality, right? That when people have something negative happen to them and they perceive themselves as victim, why do they lie? Why do they make up lies? Is there a personality type that is more prone to prevarication or mythomania or pathological lying? Or is pathological lying more associated with a personality disorder, right? So I thought this was a good question. Let me play the clip.
Okay, question. The last video I asked, like, what kind of personality disorder does XYZ? Okay, go back and watch that if you need to. But it made me remember that shortly after I confronted this friend, I had to check in with my therapist back in 2021. I had postpartum depression. I had a great therapist. I like to check in with her a few times a year just because mental health is important, guys.
It is.
Anyway, it was so funny because I decided to bring up this crazy story because sometimes I think it's more entertaining than reality TV, especially since this is like real life. It's fact, like these things happened. Anyway, I was telling my therapist about how this friend, every time that she would get mad at someone or jealous, looking back, a lot of jealousy, or someone would rub her the wrong way, she would throw out, oh, they're histrionic personality disorder. And they're histrionic personality disorder for sure. They have histrionic personality disorder. My therapist was caught off guard by that because she has been a therapist for, I think, upwards of 30 years. And when she had a client who did have histrionic personality disorder, it was such a rarity to come across that she went to continuing education about it to learn more, yada, yada. So this ex-friend saying that and claiming that to many people over time was a red flag.
Yeah, I think Christina is exactly right about that. I always get I get skeptical of people that are always like saying that someone has a personality disorder. And we know those people. We know the ones, we know who they are, right? And I have on my channel, I have gone out of my way to sort of say, look, everybody has a personality, correct? Maybe not a good one, but we all have one. And what personality disorder means is that you have an array of behaviors or thought patterns that are so far outside of normal behavior that it's interfering with your ability to function in life in 2 or more settings. Okay. So if you perceive yourself to be a big time true crime reporter, and you've been on the news, like the real live television, not just this silly YouTube, but real TV, right? Then you should be poised, right? You should be poised, you should be educated. And if someone says something negative against you because you've covered a story in a way that others might find to be offensive, that you don't break down weeping and crying and then go into a crowded room of other reporters and sit down in the middle of the room sobbing and crying. That's not normal behavior. Let's try this one on for normal behavior. Personality as opposed to personality features that get so far outside of normal that they interfere with your ability to function effectively in 2 or more environments. J.J. Vallows Memorial. "144 Roses." I've not heard one single person say, "Oh, that was such a thoughtful thing. That was so sweet. That was so thoughtful." What? The number 144, the object of, the numbers 144, that was the catalyst for the murder of this little boy and his sister and his dad, or adopted dad. Dude, there's nothing thoughtful about it. It's shallow and it's concrete and it suggests someone who's not very deep in their thoughts. And frankly, I'm a little surprised that John Matthias even allowed that. I don't know why he didn't go, "Wait a minute, Lauren, let's talk about this. What is the symbolism of the 144? Like, where are you getting that from?" See the point? So it was almost mocking. It was a terrible thing. But here's another terrible thing. Again, I'm going to ask you, this personality, is it driving a person to do something that's so far outside of what we would consider normal behavior that it's interfering in the way that you're functioning in a certain environment? You are at a trial where a family has been wiped out. 2 kids, the dad, just it's too much, right? You go to the trial and you see the biological grandmother of JJ there. And this is a trial where her brother's murderer, her past sister-in-law, is standing trial for killing not just JJ, but also Charles. Most of us, our personality, we would know that this was a very difficult time. If you agree with me, put a 1 in the chat. If you think what she did is perfectly acceptable, put a 2. That if you see there's someone who's standing trial for the murder of a little kid, and that little kid's grandmother is at the trial. In fact, she's going to be a witness in the trial. if you see her, you don't need someone to say, oh, I bet this is very difficult for her, for Kay. I bet Tresha is really struggling, the loss of her family members, seeing her mom and Larry going through so much pain. I bet this is so hard for them, right? You don't need someone to tell you. You don't need me to walk up and say, hello, I'm a licensed psychologist. Let me tell you how they're feeling. You don't need that. You know that the empathy within you, identifying your own loved ones and understanding that this was one of the most profound and horrific experiences of Kay's life ever, right? What did Lauren do during the trial? Remember, we're talking about personality. We all have one, normal behavior, compared to when behaviors get so strange that you're no longer functioning effectively in the environment. You find out that someone's saying things about you that are not very nice. Now, you're just the reporter. You're just covering the story. You're not a family member. You're not even a friend of the family. You don't even live in the same town that all this unfolded in. No personal ties whatsoever, none. And you're now upset because, you think some friends are not being very nice to you. They're going to tell your secrets about your nasty behavior or whatever she was thinking. She went into full meltdown. She was crying. She was so upset. So what did this have her do? She walks up to Kay Vallow at the trial. And she begins to dump her childish nonsense onto Kay's shoulders when she's at the trial for the murder of her brother. She literally went to Kay for support, had no awareness that Kay might be living in hell. Right? So weird. It's like, what do you think? What are you thinking? Where personality versus not functioning in a particular environment? Was that reaction normal given the environment they were in? No, she behaved like a sorority girl who just found out that the guy she had sex with last weekend was telling everybody that he had sex with her. No denial of, I didn't have sex with him, just he's telling everyone. They're going to call me a slut. It's that, I know you're probably shocked at that analogy. I used something that was so far removed because that's how inappropriate what she did was. I don't know of anybody, no one, that would have gone up to Kay for any reason at all other than to say, can I get you a coffee? Here's my seat, take my seat, or to give them a hug, or to just say, I'm thinking of you guys and you're in my prayers. I don't know anybody that would have burdened this woman or anyone in her family with petty nonsense. It is just so far outside of normal, right? All right. So it was a weird moment. It was a strange thing for her to do, but it does suggest that she was just overwhelmed by her emotions, that she wasn't thinking clearly, right? But the same thing happened the night with the shooting at the church. She's literally got her phone and she's trying to zoom in so that her viewers could see the dead bodies laying in the grass. Does that sound like something you would do? All right. So I think the questions that Christina's asking about mythomania, I like them. I think they're good.
Okay, question. What kind of personality type just makes things up to play the victim? No ammo, no proof. They literally create it out of thin air. I asked because that's what happened after I confronted my ex-friend. I went out of my way not to say anything to anyone. I did not want to risk giving her any ammunition. But the very next day, a mutual friend would not even look at me. His wife uninvited me to a dinner, and I knew right then she had made something up about me. At first, I thought that my actions speak for themselves, take the high road. I am a good friend, I am confident, and I stand by my words, actions, and behavior. But then I realized she didn't need real ammo. She would manufacture it out of nothing, just flip the story and make herself the victim. Let's be clear, I'm not claiming I'm a victim. I'm sharing this to say that's when I decided to start sharing this here, not because I have anything to prove, but because toxic behavior like that is real. And if you ignore the red flags, they'll smack you in the face like they did.
Red flags. That's what it's all about, right? That's the reason for the coverage of Trisha. Red flags. Saving people from having to re-experience the future trauma. I would say with Trisha, there's a established pattern of behavior. It goes back 10 years. She still lies about Stu Pruitt. Still lie. Even with the video evidence on YouTube, and I'm going to be covering that. Dreadful Penny did send me the deposition video, and we're going to be doing that, but this is not today. But even, just like with Trisha, even with the video now, Trisha's doubling down. She doesn't care that people know the truth now. She doesn't care. Did Lauren care? When all the police body cam came out, when we heard John Matthias saying, oh, if we could get 5 counts against Christina, we could put her in jail for 25 years. Do you want to stand by that, John Matthias? One psychologist to another? You going to stand on that with your professional legs? You think anything this woman did deserved 30 days in jail, much less 25 years in prison? See, you got triggered, got mad. So, victim mentality is very often associated with cluster B types of disorders, okay? Mythomania, pathological lying, again, it's something that is probably, I even want to say specific to cluster B, but maybe somebody would be able to give me an example where that's not true. So let me just say most often associated with cluster B. So with pathological lying or mythomania, is there normal lying? Let's talk about that first, right? So normal lying happens all the time. You lie, I lie. It is common for people to lie. But we kind of distinguish what is normal lying from pathological lying, which is you just make things up that have no basis in reality at all. That is the problem, the troublesome lying, right? So normal lying would obviously be, well, you lie to get out of trouble, right? You did something, you're not proud of it. So you lie because either, don't want to deal with the fallout or you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, right? That would, another normal type of lying would be like white lies. Hey, honey, does this shirt make me look fat? No, not at all. Okay. So white lies where you say something that may not be altogether true because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, right? So that's another kind of like normal lie. Another normal lie would be like telling a lie in order to gain advantage. Gain advantage. I have a stalker and my crime. Okay. Did you really get any advantage from all that, or did it hurt you worse than, the original sin? right? So yeah, there is normal lying, and everybody does lie and has lied. And most often it happens where you're trying to just avoid trouble, you're trying to avoid hurting somebody's feelings, or you're trying to get some type of an advantage over a situation or another person. So how do we get into the land of mythomania? Like what are the things, if people are pathological in their lives, then what are the reasons for the lying? Well, one is that pathological lying, mythomania, it serves a psychological purpose. And that psychological purpose might be something like low self-esteem. You have low self-esteem, you feel like you have never you've never had any kind of successes in your life. And so you tell people that you, it's easier when I'm more specific in my examples. So you have low self-esteem about work, about jobs that you may have done, or maybe you've not been successful professionally. And so you'll make up a lie and say, oh, well, I have a master's degree in counseling. But really, you don't even have a bachelor's degree, right? So that is a huge lie. And it's a lie that most of us would go, why would you? Why tell the lie? Like, why do you need to? People walking around with all kinds of degrees all the time. Why do you feel like you need to tell such a foolish lie to say that you have a master's degree when you have you graduated high school? There's no shame in graduating from high school. And you're hanging out with a bunch of friends on YouTube. Who cares if you have a master's degree? That doesn't have any kind of reflection on your friends on YouTube. So why do it? Well, because you are having a problem with the fact that you don't have a degree. You're having a problem with the fact that you haven't had any professional success. And so you try to improve your confidence by lying and saying you're something that you're not. We've watched that process unfold with Megan, right? Megan, first of all, she changes her name, which is just weird as hell when you say, okay, my name isn't Karen, my name is Karen. So when you address me, please call me Karen. No, my name's Karen. Call me anything you want to, but call me Karen. Okay. Don't start making up weird pronunciations. All right. So Megan, it has to have a special pronunciation, something that other people don't have, right? That's a red flag for low self-esteem. Then you get the lies that she's a therapist, that she's an author and she's writing self-help books because she's a therapist. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not exactly a therapist. I'm a coach. Just think of me as a coach. I'm a life coach because I went through EMDR therapy. No, you're not a coach. You're a patient. You went through EMDR therapy. You did group therapy. I don't know, maybe you did DBT and that's why you had the group, but you don't go through therapy and then proclaim yourself to be a licensed therapist. That is just, well, you can get in legal trouble by misrepresenting yourself as a licensed professional, especially a licensed professional that has direct patient care. If you have direct patient care and you go out there and you start lying about your credentialing, you can actually be brought up on charges. And then when people really pressed her on this whole life coach thing, she said by choice, she did not get credentialed. But she didn't need to get credentialed because she was a patient. Now, she doesn't call herself a patient. She says that she went through her therapy and she realized that nobody else was able to heal, just her. There's no good books written by licensed professionals about healing, so she had to do it. Is this sounding familiar to anyone? Narcissistic personality disorder. Anything here? Picking up on grandiosity? Okay. So then she couldn't even admit, hey, I lied. I'm not a credentialed life coach. I'm certainly not a licensed therapist of any level. I have no education other than my music education in some kind of like business or accounting or something. She couldn't even just say, I'm sorry. I misrepresented myself. She couldn't even do that. She even made the fact that she's not trained, doesn't have a certificate, doesn't have a license. She said, by my choice, I did not get credentialed because I have the answers. So I wrote a book, and I am grifting the shit out of people by saying, buy my $800 life coach healing YouTube plan. But right now it's on sale, guys. You can get it for $400. When it's all based on she was a patient who received care. Do you see how weird this gets? All right. So Jules is giving, what did you say? Jules is giving Stevie Nicks vibes today. I mean that as combo. Look, Stevie Nicks is my girl. All right, that's my girl. I've been to so many of her concerts from way back in the very beginning, before I even had a driver's license. Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks. Yep, that. And then Joe Walsh. I followed Joe Walsh's career from, single and then through all of his trials and tribulations. So yeah, I love Stevie Nicks, and you were very sweet to say that because she is beautiful. So thank you. So the choice, it was even one to sort of try to hide that she had to admit that she behaved in a way that most of us wouldn't approve of. And where does that all stem from? Most people wouldn't lie about credentialing or licensing. They just wouldn't. There's a very clear moment where you receive a piece of sheepskin, a degree, and it's got, it's fancy and flashy, and you feel great about yourself. You're like, wow, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And look at this accomplishment, right? And it's like kind of not to the same level, but it's like stolen valor. You would lie that you were in the military. If you weren't in the military, how could you even allow your mouth to even say those words, right? It's just icky and weird and gross. It's icky and weird and gross that you would, present yourself as a therapist. Then you downgrade it to life coach. And then you say, by choice, I didn't get certified. That was Megan. What about Lauren? Well, all we hear about is how Lauren was, the next Ashley Banfield. If she had just gotten her big break, by God, if someone had just given her a chance, if people had not blackballed her, she would have been the next Nancy Grace, right? And then we find out this bizarre twist. Oh my gosh, my head exploded when I found out that she was a life coach. And who is she working with? Her husband. She's working with John Matthias. And I'm thinking, Okay, John, can we talk a minute, please? At what point did you get the idea that this lady you married would be a great therapist? What? I'm struggling with that, John Matthias. What exactly were her skills that you felt would be beneficial to a person who is suffering? I don't understand. It's like Ruby Frankie nightmare moment. You know what I mean? But what I'm telling you is the truth, that he's working. We think, if we just trust his words, he's working, and she gets certified as a life coach. She's been a television reporter covering chocolate bacon. She has more faces than Sybil. If you know who Sybil is, put a 1 in the chat. If you have no idea who Sybil is, just laugh. Okay. Sybil. That was Sally Field. They put out a movie about Sybil, and it was like the first time that the presentation or discussion about multiple personality disorder, right? And she, I don't even remember how many personalities were said to live in Sybil. Maybe it was like 120 or something like that. There was the 3 faces of Eve, right? Okay. When I say that Lauren has as many faces as Sybil, I'm not talking about personalities. I'm talking about face. I'm talking about the visage, her mask. Her mask changes so dramatically and so often that sometimes I think it is just like some kind of filter tricks. Do you remember the period of time that we went through where suddenly her jaw just got very large? It was so weird. It's like, did she go get jaw implants? Like, did she get those big, implants that go there? But then a few hours later, she'd show up and she'd have these big bulbous cheeks, right? We'd see the big bulbous cheeks. And then how long did we see her with the eyebrows like this, right? The golden arches, right? Huge, woo, big happy eyebrows. And then what happened? What happened after the whole crime? Suddenly she's like this. It's all like coming down. I'm like, dude, what's happening here? Like, are you injecting yourself? Are you just going to an unscrupulous plastic surgeon and they're just changing you up from month to month? What is happening here? It is so weird. Oh, Hurricane Holly, that was just hilarious. I mean, the golden arches was the best description, right? But then she reacted. She reacted to what everybody was saying about these. Oh, look at these eyebrows. Woo. And then she comes in and it's like she went to an injector and she got them to like go in there and do exact opposite Botox to make everything like go down. Do y'all remember that? She didn't even look like the same woman. It was fascinating. So, using lying, it becomes pathological when it is related to some psychological shortcoming or problem that you're dealing with, right? That it's like a way to lie to yourself, if you will. Also, if you're just like, let's say your husband gets mad at you or your wife gets mad at you and you're feeling a little down and your confidence is shot and you're having to go out there and cover a story, and you're feeling bad about yourself, and you're feeling really low about yourself, you may sit at lunch with the ladies and you may start telling them all about how once upon a time you dated Van Halen, that you and Eddie Van Halen did the dirty deed on the top of the baby grand piano. Serves no function. Doesn't save you from anything. Doesn't keep you out of trouble. It doesn't make you look good. It serves exactly zero purposes, but it makes you feel like you're desirable and you're wanted, even if your husband doesn't want you. Eddie Van Halen did. That would be serving a psychological function, that you tell a lie for some kind of psychological need. Lying to attract attention. Now, this one is very interesting to me. You go to the court, you file papers, and you have to appear for a hearing. And in fact, you are, like the judge said, you are trying to use anti-stalking laws and restraining orders to try to take other people's right to an opinion or fair speech. You're trying to interfere with their civil protections, right? She had to make up lies to do that, because the ladies that were involved in this nightmare didn't do what she is saying that they did. Their story jumped all over the place. Like, first it was stolen information. Somebody hacked the account. And Lauren's just naming poor people. They don't even know they're involved. And they're like, what? I'm her hacker? I hacked the account for her? What? No. So she's naming all kinds of people in her lives with didn't seem to have much of awareness, like the implications for lying on people that didn't do anything wrong, right? That the reason you're lying is for the normal purpose of trying to get out of trouble. But when you remember, we have personality, but if something gets so extreme, then it isn't working anymore. Now it becomes personality disorder, right? So it would be natural to lie to try to get out of trouble. But when you start filing court documents, you're paying for attorneys to go to lie to a judge. Now we're out of personality. Now we're in a different playing field, okay? So attracting attention. What about the 9-hour live? What was the purpose of the 9-hour live? Honing her, it was like she was honing her strategy to prevent the spread of information. HMS, this was only about the spread of information, factual information. It was real. She never denied it. She just said, you're not allowed to talk about it, right? And that's silly. We are allowed to talk about it. We are allowed to have an opinion. We have to be very clear about our opinions. But if you do it in front of a camera for a million people to watch, you think you're going to be able to stop people from talking about what they saw? Of course not. That's just silly to believe it. It is narcissistic to believe that you have that much power and control over other people. So the attracting attention part was the 9-hour live. Was a 9-hour live because the judge wouldn't play ball. The judge was not sufficiently impressed by Lauren or her licensed forensic psychologist. There isn't anything like that. Forensic psychologists don't get licensed as forensic psychologists. They just don't. You become a licensed psychologist, and then Maybe you practice in the realm of forensics, or you practice in the realm of IO, or you're a medical psychologist, right? So she just gave him all kinds of nonsense labels that weren't even real. More prevarication. It's pathological. Why are you inventing labels for your husband? You're doing a true crime channel. He's a stay-at-home dad. Why does he need to have all these labels? It doesn't make sense, and people are not impressed by that. They recognize it for what it is. Is it filling an emotional void? That you would, if you feel bad about, let me think of an example. Let's say that you're a person, let's say that you're a woman who's hungry for significance, like you're hungry for accomplishment, right? But you come from a background where your dad was a felon, that he had to go to the penitentiary and serve 20 years for murder, okay, or manslaughter. If you're a woman who is hungry for accomplishment and you want others to admire you, and you have a dad who is in prison for 20 years for manslaughter, maybe you need your husband to be highly accomplished, because it leaves you, because your own dad is a felon, you lack that esteem, that you don't feel proud of your dad or your mom or whatever, right? So you look to fill some of that void, maybe, potentially, in the person you marry. And so then in that case, even though perhaps your husband's unemployed, maybe y'all have chosen that he'll be the one to stay home and raise the children, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of dads are far more empathetic and loving and nurturing than the moms. I've seen it. I'm not making any judgment on it. But let's just say the decision between you and your partner is you would make the money, he would stay home and take care of the kids. You might lie to your friends and say your husband was a surgeon. You might just make up a bald-faced lie so that really painful part of you that is empty because your dad is a felon, you try to cover it up, not by bragging about your dad or where you came from, but by bragging about your partner, right? So it gets complicated, but the point is, what is mythomania? What is the difference between normal lying as compared to what it would be considered pathological lying? And that's another one of them. It is any situation where the lie is serving to fill some psychological need. And most people they're not even aware that there's even a need for a lie, right? Like nobody's going to care. If my friend comes up to me and says, hey, my dad's a felon, he's serving 20 years in prison for manslaughter, I'm going to be interested. I'm going to say, oh my God, that's terrible. What happened? I'm going to listen to the story. And then I'm going to be like, man, I'm so sorry. And then I'm going to be like, hey, let's go get Starbucks. What do you want to do this weekend? I know, let's go to Stevie Nicks concert, right? It's not going to change your opinion of your friend. You love them. You like your friend. And we don't care what their parents were or what they did, or we don't care. But if you're the person who's suffering some psychological consequences because dad, committed manslaughter and is serving 20 years, then that lie may actually build you up and give you a sense of self-worth. If you convince yourself that you're married to a surgeon, he's just chosen to stay at home and not work, then maybe you feel good about who you are. And without that lie, because your self-esteem is so low, you can't say, yeah, I'm married to a stay-at-home dad. He doesn't work at all. That's okay. We like it that way. That would be too painful to admit. So mythomania, compared, as pathological lying, it is most often associated with people that are somewhere in that cluster B area. And the victim mentality is often something you hear from them if they do engage in, pathological lying. There's usually a victim mentality that will come out like in the stories that they tell. Victim mentality is not a diagnosis. It's a pattern of behavior, right? So it's not really a diagnosis. And that's not what we're doing here. I'm talking about this problem with, why do people make up lies? Like, why do they make up lies and weaponize those lies? We're just having a general discussion, and I'm using a lot of fake examples, and nobody's being diagnosed, right? No diagnoses around. So let's see, what else was I going to say about mythomania? So cluster B, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and I'm leaving out one. Narcissistic, borderline, histrionic, antisocial. Why did I forget antisocial? Okay. Those are the four for what we consider cluster B. We don't really technically use that term anymore. It's kind of antiquated. But in just general conversation, most everybody knows what cluster B is referring to. So if we consider these four personality disorders, and remember, very often the cluster B disorders, they overlap. There's often, like, if you have a diagnosis of histrionic personality disorder, that's my favorite, actually, personality disorder. But if you find somebody and they've got a diagnosis of histrionic, usually you're going to see some narcissistic stuff. They may be very heavy in narcissistic traits, right? So there's a little bit of overlap, or it could be a lot of overlap. But they do share some diagnostic features. But why do people lie? Pathological lying, mythomania. If we look at these four personality disorders, what are the made up lies? What do they look like? What function or purpose are they serving for each of these different personality disorders? I'm not using all disorders, just the cluster B. So with narcissistic personality disorder, mythomania looks like grandiosity. It just looks like a person's telling lies in order to maintain their image. They're just building themselves up to others, okay? So that's what mythomania looks like in narcissistic personality disorder, maintaining a superior image. Borderline personality disorder, mythomania looks like they'll engage in mythomania when that fear of abandonment is triggered, which is the hallmark of borderline, right? Fear of being abandoned. The lies are developed to give them a sense of safety, that they won't be abandoned, or they'll tell lies for their emotional stability. So something happens, they start feeling like their husband or boyfriend's about to break up with them, then they'll tell a lie about how they dated Eddie Van Halen to build themselves up, right? Okay. For antisocial personality disorder, mythomania is used for what? To manipulate people. It's just it can be used to make people hate another person. Christina, are you listening? That it with mythomania and antisocial personality disorder, the lies they're functional, right? And the function is the whole psychopathic manipulation. One of your best friends goes out with your ex-boyfriend. Now, you guys have been broken up for 2 or 3 years, but nevertheless, that's your boyfriend, right? So what does the antisocial friend do? Yeah. Starts telling everybody about your sexual escapades. It's not true stories. They're terrible scenarios where like you had sex with 5 guys in one night, or that you're having sex with your dad. Like make up the most heinous stories. Mythomania. Lying in order to tear down the enemy. Lying to make someone hurt, to feel bad, to lose something important that they value. Bad, right? You run across one of these jokers at work, these people can make your life miserable. They can lie and manipulate, they can take over projects that are your brainchild and present them as their own. And you're left standing there going, excuse me, why are you presenting my work like you did it? That they would be like, oh, you need to go to HR. Please leave. You are being disruptive to our meeting. And then the person gets up and runs to HR to say they stole my work. They're presenting it in a meeting under their name. It's my work. I did every bit of the work. And in the meeting, they're going, look, she hasn't shown up for any of our collaboration meetings. We haven't seen her a single time in 6 months. She has nothing to do with this. Isn't that right, John? And we'll put John on the hot seat. And John's going, oh, shit, I'm about to get fired. So what does John do? John goes, because I don't want that psychopathic deviant after me. So I'm not going to tell the truth. Now, that is a normal lie. That's a functional lie, right? It's try to stay out of trouble. Try to keep your job. Try to keep having money to pay for your children. But the person that makes up the lie to say, this is my hard work, look what I've done. And then targets you, and even though you're the one telling the truth, sets it up so that you're the one lying, you're the one trying to steal, and you're the one that's going to get fired. These are scary people that have the capacity to do this. And then in histrionic personality disorders, my favorite disorder, I love it. Histrionic personality disorder is, yes, there's lying, but it is for like drama. It's attention seeking. It's exciting. Guys, I won the lottery. I won the lottery. And everybody's like, well, why the hell are you still here at work? Oh, well, I'm going to donate it. I'm going to donate it to all the little kitties and puppies. Okay. Silly things like that. All right. So, yeah, we are an hour and a half now into this. Let me read some of your, my image is frozen. Oh no. Image frozen. Maybe the kids who made up stories were just bored. Look, absolutely. Oh my God, not that nonsense. People lie out of boredom. What about writers? Aren't writers Aren't they lying? Right? They're making up a story. They're trying to make it exciting. Sure. Look, we all have a storyteller in our mind. Okay. Usually the storyteller is like in the midst of writing a disaster movie and you're the main character. Okay. In the storyteller in our mind, it just takes situations and then it runs to that realm of what could go wrong, what horrible, terrible thing is about to happen to me. And then you develop an anxiety disorder, or you develop depression, or whatever it is. Remember, at the beginning of this, I was very clear. There is normal lying, and then there is mythomania. Normal lying is making up a story for fun. Normal lying is making up a story to get your butt out of trouble or to stay out of trouble. Normal lying is trying to spare someone's feelings. You don't want to tell them they don't look good in their new haircut or whatever, right? That's normal lying. With mythomania, we're talking about lying where there is an ulterior motive, and there is that the lie is performing a psychological function. Either you feel terrible about who you are, so you have to invent a nonsensical lie just to feel like you're worthy of other people. Nobody cares if you had sex with Eddie Van Halen. Do you know that? No one cares. It's not a claim to fame. If you say, oh, I'm such good friends with Matthew McConaughey, does that somehow make my social credibility better, higher? No, I'm still just me. I'm just me. I am who I am. But people will make up those kinds of lies, not because it serves an external function, but because internally it's putting some band-aids on your psyche. If you can convince other people and yourself that you had sex with Eddie Van Halen, then you start feeling like, well, I must be worthy. I must be beautiful. I must be attractive because he's a high net worth individual, I suppose. Right. Okay. So there's a big difference between normal lies and mythomania. All right. Does it mean they lack the imagination to create a lie, or that they get an additional thrill from knowing that they appropriated it? You talking about in relation to work? Lots of people love Matthew. Been years since I've seen Single White Female, but you've reminded me of that. Single White Female is one of the scariest movies ever made, especially if you work with mental health. Does it, Gen X oh no, I'm sorry, that's Skating No. I think y'all are having, let's see, you're lying about Eddie. I was a 16-year-old girl cleaning hotel rooms for my sister. Valerie and Eddie were staying. She was making a movie. They were collecting Converse shoes. Very cool. What makes someone appropriate someone else's story? Could be attention. It could be financial, could be professional. Remember, if it's mythomania, we may not even get the purpose of it, but the personality disordered person that's doing it, they know what they're wanting. Maybe maybe they work with someone and they go, wow, this was a really great project and we need to present it. and they want the glory for it. They don't want to let the glory go to an underling. So they claim it as their own and kick the underling out. I mean, isn't that the whole narcissistic personality disorder, that you believe you're destined for greatness, but you don't have real accomplishment of your own? Your life is just smoke and mirrors. It's all manipulation. I mean, I'm a TV reporter married to a licensed psychologist. Well, that didn't really hold up under scrutiny, did it? I mean, we can present ourselves here in Utopia however we want to present ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why so many people are calling out these kind of scary situations like Beth B and Helen, and the targeting elderly people for their finances. That is dangerous territory. And in Texas, it's highly illegal. So, yeah, I do think that when these stories come up and there are worrisome people that could actually do damage to other people, as long as you're telling the truth, as long as you've double checked your facts, as long as you know what the hell that you're talking about, yeah, I think we should wave the red flags when they are there, right? All right. What about kids? I remember kids who made up stories about me, not sure why. Attention, usually in like when we're talking about kids or teenagers, if they're making up stories about you, the motivation for it, the motive might be that they're just looking for attention. It also might be that they're trying to fit in with maybe one of the mean girls who regularly says mean things about other people. They may be making up stories to get themselves out of trouble. Maybe they actually did the dirty deed, but they're going to lie about you to make you take the fall for it. Things like that. All right. When I was a kid, my dad was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. I think he puffs himself up too. It's okay to be a psych and a stay-at-home dad. 100%. Absolutely. She bigged him up more than he was comfortable with. I wondered about that. I'm glad you said that. You can see his discomfort, his body language, right? He doesn't like being on camera. We can all see that. My question was why? Like why you, as a psychologist, you're in a pretty public position, right? You're presenting research, you're doing therapy with people, you're teaching classes. Like it's a fairly forward facing type of job. So why this intense discomfort? And I wondered, well, is it, maybe it's his weight. And then I got to thinking, maybe he doesn't like the way she has presented him. Maybe she doesn't like that she's really puffed him up and made it seem like his career is very brilliant. And in truth, he's, an introvert, and he's much happier with research or publishing. And I don't know, it just seemed something makes him uncomfortable, and I'm not going to pretend to know what it is, but I do think this, since he's lost, it seems like he's lost a lot of weight. He does seem a bit more confident, and it's kind of strange too, because I've noticed, do y'all get the feeling that he's being very flirty with Lauren? Like it seems like they're presenting this new picture to the subscribers that they're like on their honeymoon. right? That they're in this deep love affair. And when I watch it, I think, is this performative? Is it performative? Because so many of us, while this whole drama was going on, so many of us just felt like he wasn't being nice to her and that she was uncomfortable around him. Is it all just a big act that they're now going over the top with the love? And if that's the case, John, what does that tell you? If you've been coached that you have to give her compliments and you have to smile at her and tell her that that you love the new table so much because every day makes you remember how much she loves it. Who talks like that, John? It's nobody's business if you guys are in a great love affair. Why are you trying to demonstrate that now after years of, some discomfort, anxiety? It's just weird. The whole thing is just very strange. It's hard for us to relate, John, Matthias. We're struggling. We, the people, we, the subscribers, we, the people of YouTubia, we're struggling to identify with what we see in the channel. It all just seems so shallow and performative. None of it feels real. Even the new table, it's stupid. Well, I shouldn't say that. I felt it was stupid. My opinion was that it was stupid. But maybe y'all are having a love affair with your table. I don't know. She turned out to be more than John could handle. The whole thing is very odd. I haven't seen him. He's really feeling himself. It's hard to, it just seems like to me he's putting on a big act. That's the best way I can describe it. Let me pull up a video here. Hold on. Stupid fruit flies. I'm so mad about them. I told my husband, we got to get rid of them. Okay, well, here's one that had him on it. Okay, so they just started. That one's not going to work because they obviously edited it, because they start out like right at the beginning in his analysis. Look. Oh, okay, let me share this with y'all. Now, look, the color scheme is the color scheme is uh-oh. Oh, here we go. There we go. So they are bright, shiny, happy people. Where have we heard that before? Drawn parallels to the Duggars, right? Curious clothing choices, but I'm here for it because I have my moments. Okay. All right, let's listen. I haven't seen this, so let's see if we see one of those moments where they're being overly affectionate to each other. But you can see he's clearly on the jab. Well, in my opinion, he might be on the jab, or he's going to Weight Watchers, or he's had a bariatric surgery, or he's a nervous wreck and just can't eat because he doesn't know what to do. So I don't know what it is, but yes, John Matthias, you are looking much healthier. You look very healthy and handsome, and your clothing choice is a dramatic improvement over that zippy thing that went all the way up to your neck like that. This is much better. All right, here we go.
Doesn't want to deal with the reality. She doesn't want to deal with the truth of the situation, clearly.
I don't know. There was a joke from Grayson right before you press play. We look like who?
SpongeBob and Patrick.
SpongeBob and Patrick. That's what she just said.
Yeah, I take it you're SpongeBob and I'm Patrick.
Ding, ding, ding.
If you had to pause on that one.
No. Oh my God. I didn't watch this, y'all. Watch his face when Grayson says this. Watch him.
Is covering her ears. She doesn't want to deal with the reality. She doesn't want to deal with the truth of the situation, clearly.
I don't know. There was a joke from Grayson right before you press play. We look like who?
SpongeBob and Patrick.
Sponge.
Why did Lauren do that? That's horrible. I didn't either, Jenny. Isn't Patrick purple? Isn't he purple? Man, if she was my producer, if she was my wife. John, you need. Buddy. Damn. Hold on, I'll tell you why I'm so shocked. I want to look at this color scheme. SpongeBob and Patrick. Well, I mean, Patrick's kind of a he's kind of just like a beige color. He's not orange. He's in a couple of these. He actually is more like red looking, not never orange. Here's one where Patrick is purple. Grayson, you're lucky you even still have a job. Okay, so here's what here's why I'm horrified. Here's why I'm horrified. Because she clearly made the joke like when they were not live, like when the camera wasn't rolling, because they started it with Lauren said, "Oh wait, Gray Baby made a joke," and then she invites Grayson to say the joke once they're on the air. And he does look upset, Jenny. He looks really upset. And I would have been horrified if I were him, if I were in that situation. I'd have been mortified. But because Patrick is very fat. Patrick's sort of like a blob. Man, I am amazed by that. I'm amazed that Lauren wanted Grayson to say the joke with the camera running. If you look at his face, it hurt his feelings. And it would have hurt my feelings too. Watch his face here. Like as soon as she says that, he sort of kind of smiles a little, then he looks down, and then he starts trying to cover. But listen and watch him. Don't pay attention to Lauren. Just look at him.
Bob and Patrick.
It's that. What the hell? I guess you had to knock him down, right? I guess you had to put him back in his place because he is looking handsome and he is looking healthier, working on himself, and you couldn't just let him have that, right? Can't let him steal the show, right? Unbelievable. Boy, I'm triggered. I'm so mad.
That's what she just said.
Yeah, I take it you're SpongeBob and I'm Patrick.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding,
If you had to
ding.
pause.
Hey, you know what, Grayson? I'm thinking that you look more like Patrick than John does. It's just my opinion, though. Ding, ding, ding. Who do you think you are, Grayson? Total and complete lack of respect. Does anybody in the side chat, do any of you guys feel like that was a funny joke? It's weird, isn't it? Oh my God. I think Lauren knows that Hubs isn't happy. I'm gonna tell you straight up. Oh, and that's the other part. Thank you, Sketty Nona. Patrick is dumb as the stump. Like, that's part of the joke with Patrick. Yeah, this is one of those things where he's looking good. He's been working on himself. He finally comes on camera. It's been a long time since he did a live. He finally comes on camera. He's looking really, really nice. He's wearing clothes that look normal and not weird. And these two heifers had to tear him down. John. You know what? That would be the last time I went on my wife's channel. I'd laugh at her ass next time. Hey, you mind doing an analysis? No, I'm too dumb. I'm Patrick, remember? Man, Lauren, that's on you, girl. That one is on you. The live started. He was already talking about Corey Richins. And Lauren said, oh, wait a minute. Grayson told a funny joke and had her repeat it while the cameras were rolling. Yeah, it's their newest one, I think, Generation X. Let me look. I think it is the newest one. Oh, damn it. "49 minutes ago. 49 minutes ago. That is disgusting behavior. I can't believe you did that to him publicly. Is anybody else like, am I just having a weird reaction? If you think that this whole thing with Lauren and Grayson, if this was disrespectful to John, put a 1. If you think it was perfectly great, fine, normal, put a 2. Oh, absolutely, Sketty Nona. Because if I'm being weird and it wasn't hurtful and I'm just being strange, I'm willing to own it. Weird. So hurtful. Why would anybody want to do that to a person they love, a family member? It's not even funny, is it? Like, there's nothing. How's it funny? I don't even get why it would even be considered funny. I'll tell you what I was going to say they look like. They look like, to me, the like the bag of tortilla chips that are brightly colored, like they'll have yellow and orange, or I think it's supposed to be red, but they come off looking orange. I thought it just looked like the party chips. Not SpongeBob. It landed hard, and you could tell, but he was taken back. It hurt his feelings. Wow. I cannot. You know what? Here's the thing. Yes, it's disrespectful, but I can't help but laugh because this is the man that can't handle being interrupted and gets grudged for 5 years. Yeah, it doesn't change any history, right? But I hate to see anybody get publicly humiliated. Like I don't want to see anybody get shamed or embarrassed for their appearance or for their weight, or you don't want to see people experience that. And this was by your wife and this silly little girl. And you're the licensed psychologist sitting there, and they put you down like that. John, you bet, buddy, give me a call. We can talk. You need to take control of what's happening. I wouldn't accept that level of disrespect from anyone, not from a panel guest, not from my mom and dad. I wouldn't accept it from my husband, my children. No, that was 100% designed to put you in your place, because you have done a great job losing weight. And I'm the first one to tell you, you look great. And you didn't deserve that, not by a long shot. What's wrong? And I'm doing a YouTube. What? No. Lauren has probably knocked John down for years. He may be a victim. What's the phrase when you feel secondhand embarrassment? I get that a lot watching HTC. This is Grayson's in no position to roast anyone on her appearance. Hurricane Holly. Thank you. Grayson, do you own a mirror? Just asking a question. You put on Lauren's clothes that are about 3 sizes too small for you. And then you let people take videos of you. I don't know why you're making fun of a guy who's clearly working really, really hard on his weight. You should be ashamed of yourself. And if Lauren won't stand up for her husband, I will. Shame on you. You owe him a public apology. That was disgusting. That was disgusting. You know what you two women should have been doing? As soon as the camera started rolling, you should have been talking about how good he looks. You should have been bragging on his shirt. You should have been bragging about all his hard work and how handsome he looks. I don't know who you two women are, but yuck. Stay out of my friend group, please. He does, Inga, 100%. Cinnamon Hot said, "Hey, Piddling Bill."
Hey,
I tell him all the time that he needs to start back up his channel, but he won't do it.
I'll have no subject matter.
You
I have no content.
You can cook.
I have no content.
You're a good cooker.
I'm uninterested in no content.
You're uninteresting. Okay. All right, Bill. he says he's uninteresting. All right. It was so mean, Inga. That's so wrong, Requiem. So uncalled for. I don't know why weight is anybody's business except the person they're saying that to. My family has done similar to me. It is terrible, Diane. Absolutely horrible. And can I just point something out? You know, when Lauren fell in love with John and married him, he was not skinny and in shape, right? She loved him then. Why is she shaming him when he's trying to get himself healthy? Yeah, Dr. John, even though I hate that term, Dr. John, telling you, they should be bragging on you and building you up. And I'm sorry that they made this stupid, senseless joke. It wasn't even funny. It was 100% designed to put you in your place. And you should have put up with that. Stand up for yourself. You look 100 times better than Grayson. This is just gross. I wish we hadn't even looked at it, y'all. I feel terrible. I feel icky. Blech. Feel icky. Junebug, do you approve of this? You think this is great? You're going to tell me how sweet Grayson is? Please don't. We're seeing it on display here. Don't tell me. She's scary. She's a scary chick. Oh my God. I got triggered. That it just awful. I can't even talk about them. They just are so inappropriate. Ugh. Yuck. Lauren, why'd you do that to your husband? Why'd you do that to your husband? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. It's really, really made me sad, made me upset because it was so opportunistic, wasn't it? It was just gross. It's really gross. You know what that was, Lauren? That was the same shit as the 144 roses. Like, what's wrong with you? In what world do you live in that telling your husband that he looks like Patrick is perfectly appropriate, especially when he's clearly just lost a lot of weight? What's wrong with you, Lauren? John, save yourself. Retreat quickly. Damn, man, it just made me so mad. But we're really not surprised, are we? It just was nasty. I'm no Chantal Beauty, but I am overweight, but not at that level of needing that type of help. Are you talking about Foodie Beauty? Because she is, she's in the danger zone. I am actually sincerely worried about her. She's another one. You know what? She needs to kick that Joker Salah to the curb. She needs to turn her computer off and get on disability and find her a nutritionist and a doctor that will help her lose weight. Not so that she can get skinny and pretty, but so that she can start walking again and just be in a normal, enjoy normal life, right? Being able to go walk outside and sit in the grass. Like, that's a precious gift to be able to do something like that. And sadly, she sat in that apartment by herself and eaten herself now into a position where every day I wonder, will this be the day that we get the announcement? You know, I think she is in a very precarious, medically precarious situation. So it's gotten so bad that I can't watch. I'm really worried about her. So seemed like the two women were teaming up on him. That's the way I experienced it, Cinnamon. Yeah, and of the three of them sitting at the table, he's the only one with any real accomplishment. Like, who do they think they are making fun of him? Have you looked at how many views that he gets when he's on the channel compared to the views that Lauren gets when she's just there solo? Like, he's carrying the channel. And what a mean thing. What a shitty thing to say. Grayson, you suck. Let's all say it together. Put it into chat. Grayson, you suck. Oh, that's gross. Man, that was awful. I hate that we even watched it. I just hate it when somebody gets victimized. Even if it's somebody, he's not been a good guy to Christina and others. He's done things that were really questionable. But can we just stand with integrity? And when you see something wrong, call it out. Wrong is wrong, period. All right. So we started this live. I got to get my head back on something nice and positive. Okay. We started this live out. I pointed out it was not, in fact, Lauren who apologized to Christina and bought her ticket to CrimeCon. It was CrimeCon. And my understanding is too that they upgraded her ticket. So thank you, CrimeCon, for having integrity. It's a good thing to see in this world, especially when integrity is pretty short with a lot of people. You know, most of us are acting without integrity, like calling your husband fat when you got, 500,000 views on a video. That lacks integrity. You suck, Lauren. You gross me out, lady. I'm triggered to hell and back. So this is if you've noticed with my videos, I have started doing Barbies. I'm using AI to do Barbies, right, for my thumbnails. So this is AI's rendition of Christina. I think it's nice, isn't it? It's very, very cute. This is my favorite of me kind of going, what are you talking about? I also used it here. I think that turned out cute. I think I got another one here. Oh yeah, I did a little video. Oh, this one's good. I like this one. Hold on. I have the red one too. And then this one I love, and I made this one with a different this was the Adobe artificial intelligence. Isn't that cute? For Jules of Thought. I love it. So Christina, you now have been represented by a Barbie doll. And when I see Christina in somebody's chat, her name to me is Christina with the good hair. Okay. So she is a sweetheart. All right. Jolene Lunzer and Everyday with Jay and Dreadful Penny, they have been killing it in terms of calling out the red flags and collecting the details and telling the truth. All right. So those are three ladies that if you haven't been watching them, you need to put them on your daily playlist because wow, they're doing such a good job. All right. Thank y'all for being here. Please hit the subscribe button and make sure that you hit the thumbs up before you leave because that helps other people see the video. The algorithm will recommend the video. You're awesome. You can share it on your social media if you want to. And just because Lauren is a heifer who was so rude and didn't control the help, we're going to go out with Lauren's song. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Oh, Lauren, queen of the screen.
And feel
With bow
free
ties
to
so
sing
tight,
along.
You look like a dream, but your skin's so thin, it's like tissue paper. One wrong word and poof, you're a vapor. Hey, Lauren, toes all sore and red from folks stepping on them. Now you're crying in bed. People are mean, you wail through the night, but you swing at victims' kin. What a sight from YouTube throne. Queen Lauren's so grand. Now cast to the peasants with pitchforks in hand.
Lauren, John looks better than you do
You
now.
dish out the drama, true crime with flair, but cross your highness, oh beware. Family members grieving, you pounce like a cat, claws out and hissing, imagine that. But
Tell us
dogs
about the
can't hide
detective that you were
upside
such good
down.
friends with,
Your
Lauren.
kingdom's crumbling, you're losing your crown. Hey, Lauren, toes all sore and red from folks stepping on them. Now you're crying in bed. People are mean, you wail through the night, Once upon a vid, you ruled the true crime wave. Subs in the millions, oh what a rave. But thin skin and sore toes led to your fall. Now you're scrolling comments, ignored by all. Peasant life calls with no royal decree. Just Botox bills and reality TV. Hey Lauren, Lauren, pack up your crown. The kingdom's evicting, you're heading downtown. Toes still aching, tears on your sheets. But hey, next adventure, true crime on the street. From queen to the fields with the mud and the muck. Lauren, oh Lauren, next time, better luck. Apologize, Lauren, to
Yeah, apologize to your husband, you heifer. I can't even believe you. I'm disgusted by what you and Grayson did. Let me tell you this, Lauren, wowin, with the nasty personality and total lack of empathy and self-awareness. If I had to choose between going on a date with you or going on a date with Grayson or going on a date with John, 100%, I would go on a date with John. So there you go. You're a loser, Lauren. I feel the lyrics to a song coming on. You're a loser, Lauren. Y'all have good afternoon. Everybody, y'all are awesome. Thank you for being here. I enjoyed talking about Mythomania. And I just really, really hate that I brought up a clip of Hidden True Crime. So my apologies to the original, authentic gems of YouTubia. See y'all later. Bye.